Hey, I'm doing this autobiography on R.G. Lee for church history. My name is Camden Bagwell. R.G. Lee, he would pastor the Bellevue Baptist Church, most famous now probably for Pastor Adrian Rogers. Most people in our age are familiar with. Dr. R.G. Lee was born on November 11th, 1886 in South Carolina, York County, South Carolina. His family, they were sharecroppers. They raised cotton. They raised cotton on the same grounds that the slaves did. And then after the Civil War, he was born toward the end of the ministry of Charles Spurgeon and D.L. Moody. He was saved at age 12, and shortly after that was called to preach. Had a strong desire to preach, and he promised his father he would stay and help him work on the farm until he was 21 years old. And when he was 21 years old, he borrowed $250 from the bank and went to work on the Panama Canal that was being built in order to raise money for his education. He went then to Furman University and began his education there. When he finished, he was offered a job to continue there in the Latin field there at Furman, but he declined that job because of his strong desire to preach the Word of God. He pastored a few small pastorates and ended up at First Baptist Church in New Orleans. There, I believe it was 3.5 years he stayed there pastoring that church in New Orleans, and saw a lot of growth there. I think 1,016 new members came to the church. But after that, he found eventually his home in Bellevue Baptist Church in Memphis, Tennessee. In between that, he did spend some time in Charleston, South Carolina, but he found his home there in Memphis, Tennessee, at the Bellevue Baptist Church, where Adrian Rogers was one that succeeded him there. He served as the president of the Tennessee Baptist Convention. He was very influential there through that board, and he is famous for the sermon of his titled "There's going to be a payday someday." The Lord really used that sermon in many um, tent revivals and churches across as he went and preached. Believe he preached the sermon over 1,200 times, and it was from First Kings 21 and Second Kings chapter number 9. And one of the illustrations that he used during that sermon was that King Ahab was he referenced King Ahab as being a toad that squatted over Israel, the worst king ever that they had. So the Lord really used that, and thousands of people professed to know Christ through the preaching of that sermon. The Lord really used this man in a mighty way. He was offered, you know, jobs to come away from the Bellevue Baptist Church, even a job at New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, but he declined that, and he pastored there for 33 years, and then he retired. And after his retirement, he continued preaching for a number of years. They say that R.G. Lee used to visit on average 10 house visits per day, even doing all his responsibilities in pastoring. Preach funerals, made hospital visits. To me, that's amazing to think that he was able to do that every single day. Still studied the Word of God. He didn't let being tired be an excuse for him not to study. And the Lord really used him in a mighty way. He also had a great work in the issues of race during his time period as well. He was used in that area. Um, but that is Brother R.G. Lee, the information on him. Thank you very much.